High above the clouds, in a world woven with stars and drifting dreams, lived creatures both magical and misunderstood. Among them was a little dragon named Tiny Long, except he wasn't just a dragon. With soft fur, gentle cat ears, and a purr instead of a roar. He didn't quite fit in with the fire breathers around him. They called him names, laughed at his ears, and told him he'd never fly far. But one day, a whisper on the wind spoke of a place where differences glowed like treasure, the Pink Cloud Village. And with that, Tiny Long took his first brave step into the sky. Part 1. The Dragon Who Purred. Tiny Long was born during a skyfire storm, when thunder danced with lightning and rain painted the mountains silver. His egg was small and soft, unlike the tough, spiky shells of the other dragonlings. When he finally hatched, the first thing anyone noticed wasn't his wings. It was his ears. Fuzzy, round, cat-like. The elder dragons blinked in confusion. "A kitten," one scoffed. "No," said his mother softly, nuzzling him. "He's just special." They named him Tiny Long, meaning little dragon in the old cloud tongue. But names couldn't shield him from stares or whispers. At Dragonflight Academy, where young dragons learn to fly, breathe fire, and roar properly, Tiny Long always seemed one step, or flap, behind. When the teacher shouted, "Roar with pride!" his classmates sent out blasts of flame and thunder. Tiny Long only let out a gentle growl. A purring rumble escaped his throat. The other dragons burst into laughter. "Try again, kitten. Maybe you should chase yarn, not clouds." He tried harder. He flapped until his tiny wings ached. He practiced roars in the cave when no one was watching. He even held his breath to build fire inside. But only a few sparks ever came out. But no matter how hard he tried, the others never saw him as one of them. One cloudy afternoon, while everyone practiced flying through storm rings, Tiny Long sat alone on a ledge, his tail wrapped tightly around his paws. He looked down, watching the mist swirl far below the cliffs. His heart ached. "What's wrong with me?" he whispered. A voice answered, not from beside him but from the sky. "Nothing at all," it said, soft as moonlight. "You just belong somewhere higher." Tiny Long looked around. No dragon was near. The wind curled gently around him, carrying a sweet, airy scent, like spun sugar and starlight. "Pink Cloud Village," the voice breathed again, brushing his ear like a secret. He blinked. "What?" But the wind had already moved on. That night, Tiny Long couldn't sleep. He curled into a mossy nest and stared at the stars above the cave ceiling. His ears twitched. Was there really a place beyond the sky? A village floating on clouds? Pink ones. He got up quietly, careful not to wake the other dragonlings. In the back of the cave, among dusty scrolls and forgotten stones, he found a tattered old map. On the corner, barely visible, was a scribbled phrase. "Where sky turns blush, hearts are free." Below it, Pink Cloud Village. Altitude, unknown. He stared at the map. His tail swished slowly. The idea of such a place where maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't be seen as strange tugged at something deep inside him. It made his chest feel warm, almost like fire. He had to find it. The next morning, Tiny Long packed what little he had. A scarf his mother made, a pouch of cloudberries, and a tiny bell that once belonged to a forest cat who'd befriended him. He tied it to his neck with a ribbon. It jingled gently when he walked. As he prepared to leave, his mother stirred from her sleep and caught sight of him near the cave mouth. "Tiny?" she asked, sleep still in her voice. He turned, heart pounding. I'm going. I have to find it." "Find what?" He hesitated, then whispered, "A place where I'm not wrong." His mother's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. She walked to him, placing her forehead against his. "You were never wrong. Just rare." He nuzzled her gratefully. Then, with a deep breath, he stepped out into the morning mist. The world beyond the dragon cliffs was vast and wild. Tiny Long flew low at first, his small wings unused to long travel. He followed the map as best as he could, using the stars and sun to guide him. He flew over silver forests where birds shimmered like mirrors, over lakes that whispered when he passed, and over mountain peaks where the wind roared like ancient dragons. But as he rose higher, the air grew thinner and colder. His wings wobbled. He stopped often to rest on clouds or ledges. The teasing voices from the academy still echoed in his head. "You'll never fly high. Your ears will freeze before you get anywhere. Maybe your tail's too fluffy for wind." Sometimes when he was tired and alone, he believed them. But each time he nearly turned back, something stopped him. Memory. Feeling. The whisper, "You just belong somewhere higher." One day, while flying through a sky thick with low clouds, Tiny Long spotted a strange shape ahead. A floating tree, its roots dangling beneath it like a jellyfish. Curious, he landed on one of the branches. As soon as his paws touched the bark, the tree shuddered. "Oof! Watch it!" Tiny Long jumped back. Sorry. I didn't mean to. First visitor in decades and you crash land on my nap branch," grumbled the tree. But then it chuckled. "Just kidding, kid. Who are you?" "I'm Tiny Long," he said shyly. "I'm looking for the Pink Cloud Village." The tree let out a long, whistling breath. "Haven't heard that name in ages. You sure you're ready for that kind of place?" Tiny Long tilted his head. "Why wouldn't I be?" The tree's leaves rustled thoughtfully. "It's a place for the brave, not the big or loud. The brave. The ones who keep flying even when the wind tells them they can't." Tiny Long nodded slowly. The tree smiled. "Then keep going, little dragon cat. When the sky turns pink and your heart feels full, you're almost there." That night, Tiny Long curled in the crook of the floating tree and stared at the stars. The tree hummed lullabies from long ago. As he drifted to sleep, the wind carried another soft scent, this time of rose petals and warm marshmallows. He smiled. Maybe the village wasn't just a place. Maybe it was also a feeling. And he was getting closer. Part 2. The Wind, the Wing, and the Whispering Feather. Tiny Long flew onward, the floating tree shrinking behind him until it was just a wobbling green dot. The air shimmered with thin sunlight, and the clouds grew warmer in color. Ivory, pearl, then hints of blush pink. His wings were sore. His eyes half-lidded with exhaustion. But still he flew. Below, the earth had long disappeared. He was skybound now. Just him, the wind, and the promise of something better. By noon, the clouds darkened. Storm was coming. It started slowly. Little shivers in the wind, the kind that brushed under your wings and whispered, "Turn back." Then the clouds gathered like angry herds. They piled above and below, surrounding him in heavy gray. Tiny Long flapped harder. Lightning cracked to his right. He squeaked, a tiny, involuntary mule. The wind swirled like a beast, pushing him off course, tugging at his scarf and bell. He tried to steer, but he wasn't strong enough. A violent gust struck him from behind, flipping him headfirst. Down, down, down he spun. He barely managed to glide into a patch of gentler air and crash-landed on a wispy cloud ledge. His chest heaved. His wings throbbed. The bell around his neck jingled weakly. For a moment, he just lay there, flattened against the cloud, fur damp, ears drooping. Maybe they were right, he thought bitterly. Maybe I'm not a real dragon. Maybe I'll never find that place. Tears welled in his big amber eyes. I should turn back. Then he heard the flutter. Rhythmic. Like wings but smaller. He looked up and saw a feather drifting down through the clouds. Not a dragon feather. It was long and silver, edged with faint rainbow shimmer. It floated right toward him, then danced just out of reach. Curious, Tiny Long stood and stretched out a paw. The feather dipped lower, then twitched. He blinked. It wasn't just falling. It was leading him. The feather zipped gently away into the mist, then paused, waited. Tiny Long followed, step by step at first. Then, when the wind calmed slightly, he took off again, chasing the mysterious shimmer. The storm gradually faded behind him. What replaced it was even stranger. He entered a sky he'd never seen before, a place where the clouds weren't white but colorful. Pale lavender stretched into soft peach. Swirls of coral and blush spun gently in the air like the strokes of a dreamy painter. And there, gliding effortlessly on the updrafts, was a creature unlike any he'd ever seen. She had feathers like sunlight on water, and a long snout with a ribbon of fur like a fox's. Her wings were made of clouds, and her eyes, silver shimmering, met his with calm surprise. "Who are you?" Tiny Long asked, hovering nearby. "I'm Faye," she said simply, "guardian of lost flyers. And you? You're halfway. Halfway to where?" "The place you're seeking. Pink Cloud Village." Tiny Long's ears perked. "You know it." Faye nodded. "I guide those who get off course. The wind brought you here." "I didn't ask it to," he mumbled. She smiled. "Sometimes the wind knows better than we do." Tiny Long tilted his head. "Am I supposed to be here?" "Do you feel like you are?" she asked gently. He thought for a moment. The storm had nearly broken him. But now, in this dreamy sky, with Faye gliding beside him and the strange feather still twirling in the breeze ahead, he felt lighter. "I think so," he whispered. Faye flew with him the rest of the afternoon. She showed him how to catch rising thermals instead of fighting the wind, how to tuck his wings during dives, how to rest mid-flight without falling. "You fly like a cat," she teased. "I am part cat," he said proudly now, puffing his fuzzy cheeks. Faye laughed. "That's a gift. You feel the wind with your fur." Tiny Long blinked. He'd always thought his soft fluff and feline ears made him less, but Faye made it sound beautiful. By evening, the feather began to spin faster. It dipped toward a glowing stretch of sky where all the clouds turned pink, soft, radiant, as if lit from within. Faye stopped. "You'll go on from here." "What? You're not coming?" She shook her head. "I only guide halfway. The rest is for your heart to find." Tiny Long hesitated. "Will I fit in? Will they like me?" Faye glided closer and pressed her forehead gently to his. "They'll see you, the real you. But more important, you'll see yourself." Then, with a rustle of light, she was gone. He flew alone again, but no longer lonely. Each flap brought him closer to the pink clouds. The sky around him shimmered with dancing petals of color. He passed small floating islands where flowers bloomed in the air. Jellyfish drifted like lanterns. A river of wind sang through invisible chimes. He followed the feather. Finally, as the last light of day stretched into rose and gold, the clouds parted. And there, nestled between two floating peaks, was a village. Not a village like he'd known. No square huts or dragon caves. The homes were soft domes made of cloud glass and petal tiles. Bridges of light connected them. Lanterns floated on the wind, glowing with soft laughter. And creatures of all kinds drifted through the air. Some with wings, some without, none quite the same. Tiny Long hovered at the edge. A fox with butterfly wings waved at him. A turtle with hot air balloons on its back smiled gently. A lion made entirely of flowers pranced past. And then a voice called out, bright and cheerful. "New one. Fuzzy ears. Come in." Tiny Long blinked. A trio of strange beings floated toward him. A goat with spider silk wings, a snake with sparkles for scales, and a dragon with antlers and a snail shell. "You're just in time for sky tea," one said. "You've got a bell. That's adorable," said another. "You're glowing," the antlered dragon said. "Did you know?" Tiny Long looked down. His fur did shimmer faintly, like it had caught the color of the clouds. He smiled. "I'm Tiny Long." The three creatures bowed. "Welcome, Tiny Long." "For tonight," said the goat-winged one. "You rest." "Tomorrow," said the sparkly snake. "You explore." "And someday," said the antlered dragon, "you'll help someone find this place too." Tiny Long followed them into the glowing village. His bell chimed softly in the dusk. Part 3. Cloud Tea and Moon Melodies. Tiny Long awoke to warmth. Not the kind from the sun, but something gentler, like the warmth of being wrapped in a hug you didn't know you needed. His eyes fluttered open. Above him floated soft pink drapes made of spun cloud fiber. The walls glimmered like mist kissed by morning light. He blinked. I'm still here, he thought. This isn't a dream. Outside the round window, creatures of all shapes and colors glided through the air. Music drifted from somewhere. A melody made of wind and bells, soft enough to tickle the soul. Tiny Long stretched. His wings didn't ache anymore. His scarf had been dried and folded neatly beside him. His bell still jingled gently at his neck. And next to his bed, someone had left a tray with biscuits shaped like stars and a cup of shimmering pink tea. He sniffed the tea. It smelled like strawberry, cinnamon, and something else, something like kindness. A sip. Warmth filled his chest. Outside, the village was more alive than he had imagined. Everywhere he looked, there was color and laughter. A fox with sunflower eyes floated past, tossing glimmer seeds into the air. A bird with candle wings lit tiny lanterns hanging from drifting vines. A beetle in spectacles read aloud to a group of cloudlings, tiny puffy creatures with eyes like raindrops. No one stared at him. No one whispered. In fact, most smiled. One even waved and said, "Fluffy one. Morning." Tiny Long's ears twitched upward. "Hi," he called back shyly. He wandered into the center of the village where a cloud fountain gently burbled music. There, sitting on a crescent-shaped bench, were the three he'd met the night before. The antlered dragon, the glittering snake, and the goat-winged creature. "Look who woke up," the goat-winged one cheered. Come, join our sky tea." Tiny Long hesitated. I'm not sure I know how." The snake twirled midair. "You sip. You sigh. You float. That's it," he giggled. "That's it," the dragon said, smiling. They poured him another cup, this one swirling with blue mist. As he sipped, a curious warmth rose through him, not just from the drink, but from being there included without needing to hide anything. He purred involuntarily. The three creatures paused. "Is that purring?" the goat whispered. "I love it," said the snake. "Like a cloud humming." Tiny Long's ears folded bashfully. "Sorry, I do that sometimes." The dragon leaned in. "Don't ever apologize for your sound." They spent the morning floating between cloud gardens and star crystal fields. They showed him sky seeds that bloomed only when sung to, and cloud creatures that changed shape depending on your mood. Every corner of the village felt like a small dream. Tiny Long began to notice something else. Everyone here was a little unusual. A sheep with jellyfish tentacles ran the bakery. A squirrel with fins played the harp on rooftops. A crow with a lizard tail painted murals in midair. And no one questioned it. No one said too much or not enough. Everyone just belonged. After lunch, rainbow dumplings and caramel leaf pie. Tiny Long wandered to the edge of the village where the clouds thinned, revealing streaks of golden sky. There he saw a platform, simple, wide, with a few scattered cushions. One creature sat in the center, a soft, smoky figure with a flute carved from moonwood. As Tiny Long approached, the creature stopped playing and looked up. "Ah," a new voice. Hi," he said. "I'm Tiny Long." "I know," the figure said, smiling. "Word of your bell reached us before breakfast." Tiny Long chuckled nervously. "It's not loud. But it's true," said the musician. "Would you like to learn a sky song?" Tiny Long tilted his head. "I don't know any." "Perfect," said the musician. "That means yours won't sound like anyone else's." He was handed a wind whistle, small, shaped like a leaf. "Close your eyes," said the musician. "Breathe. Then let your sound rise." Tiny Long closed his eyes. The wind tickled his nose. The whistle sat warm in his paws. He breathed in. Thought of his mother. A scarf. A storm. The silver feather. and the way the sky turned pink just before he saw the village. He breathed out. Soft note escape. Not loud, not perfect, but uniquely his. The musician smiled. That's your sound. Not for war, not for fear, but for healing. Tiny Long's chest felt full. For the first time, his sound wasn't laughed at. It was listened to. That night, there was a floating lantern ceremony. Tiny Long joined the villagers on the central cloud, where hundreds of lanterns, each glowing in different shades, floated gently in baskets made of mist and light. Everyone carried one. Each was meant to hold a wish. The goat-winged creature nudged him. Write your truth. Tiny Long stared at his lantern. Then, carefully, he used a tiny star pen and wrote, I am different, and that is magic. His paws trembled slightly, but as soon as the ink dried, the lantern glowed pink gold. He smiled and let it rise. All around him, other lanterns drifted upward, each one a quiet declaration of identity, hope, and courage. As they rose into the sky, they formed a constellation, not of dragons, not of stars, but of shapes and hearts that didn't fit any rule, and didn't need to. Later, as he curled up in his sky bed, his ears still warm from kind words and music, Tiny Long thought, this place doesn't change you. It lets you see what's been glowing inside all along. He touched his bell, and slept, softly purring under clouds that blushed with dreams. Part 4. The Storm Below. Tiny Long had been in the pink cloud village for 7 days. By now, his days were filled with laughter, music, and small moments of wonder, like watching cloud foxes chase their shadows, or helping the sky turtle decorate his shell with falling petals. He'd made friends with a dew collector who bottled the morning mist, and a baker who sculpted floating pies shaped like dreams. Most of all, he'd grown used to smiling without worry. Here, his fluffy ears weren't a reason to hide. His quiet voice wasn't something to change. And his purrs. They were now the background hum of morning tea circles. But even in a village where dreams danced and colors bloomed, not every cloud was soft. It began with a shadow. One morning, as Tiny Long was tending to a patch of skyflowers, he noticed the air had turned cold. The clouds beneath the village had darkened, not gray like rain clouds, but the color of old bruises, swirling heavy and wrong. From the edge of the cloud gardens, the elder moth librarian looked up, frowning. The below winds are rising, she murmured. Tiny Long tilted his head. Below winds. The moth turned slowly. Her wings shimmered with dust. Storms from the world you came from. Full of doubt, anger, and forgetfulness. Sometimes they try to climb. He swallowed. They climb this high. Only when they smell loneliness, she said gently. Or fear. That night, the wind howled like distant crying. Tiny Long curled tighter in his sky bed, clutching his scarf. By the next evening, a crack had formed at the base of the village. A swirling funnel of mist pulled softly, like a whispering drain. Villagers gathered, concerned but calm. It's been years, the snail dragon murmured. But the storm below is strong. The last time, added the goat-winged one, it nearly reached the heart tree. Tiny Long stepped forward, heart racing. What do? We protect the source, said the flower lion. The heart cloud. It keeps the village afloat. I want to help, Tiny Long said immediately. Everyone looked at him, not with doubt but care. Are you sure? Asked the antlered dragon. This storm smells like your world. He nodded. That's why I should go. I know what that wind feels like. They gave him a satchel filled with stardust and a sky crystal to light his path. The moth librarian handed him a scroll. If the storm tries to twist your thoughts, she said, speak this aloud. It remembers who you are when you forget. He didn't understand fully, but he took it, bowed, and flew into the churning clouds. The descent was harsh. The deeper he flew, the more the wind pressed in, hot and bitter, full of voices that didn't sound like his own. You're not really one of them, whispered the air. They like you now, but only because you try so hard. You'll never belong. Not here. Not anywhere. Tiny Long's wings faltered. His bell clinked in the dark. He gritted his teeth and whispered, "I do belong. I do." But the wind laughed. A shadow formed, faint at first, then clearer. A version of himself, but older, colder, with stiff wings and narrowed eyes. "You think purring makes you magical," it sneered. "No, you're soft, too soft. You don't even breathe fire properly." Tiny Long's heart thudded. "I don't need to. You'll always be halfway," the shadow spat. "Half dragon, half cat, half strong, half brave." The winds roared. Tiny Long's wings shook. His scarf flapped violently. He was falling. Then something brushed his cheek, the silver feather. It twirled past him, glowing faintly. And in that tiny motion something stirred. Not fear, not fire, but memory. Tiny Long reached into his satchel with trembling paws and pulled out the scroll. It fluttered in the wind, nearly flying away. He caught it with his claws and read aloud. "I am not the storm that shakes me. I am not the voice that breaks me. I am more than roar or wing. I am every soft and shining thing." The wind paused. The shadow hissed. Tiny Long's chest filled with warmth. He let out a long, loud purr, one that shimmered through the air like a song. It wasn't a roar, but it pushed the shadow back. He flew forward, deeper into the heart of the storm, where the cloud cracked open to reveal a glowing tree, the heart cloud. It pulsed weakly, dimming under pressure. Tiny Long hovered above it and sprinkled the stardust across its crown. Then he sang, his purrs, his sky song, even his small whistles, all blending into one sound. Himself. The storm recoiled. Lightning cracked. But the heart cloud pulsed once. Then it glowed. A blinding light burst outward, like dawn breaking open. The winds snapped. The shadows screamed and were pulled back into the depths below. And just like that, the sky cleared. Tiny Long hovered above the glowing tree, wings aching, scarf torn but heart full. He had faced the storm. And he had not roared. He had not fought. He had simply stayed true. He returned to the village in soft silence. The clouds were already healing. Lanterns flickered to life again. Music resumed. The villagers gathered but didn't cheer. Instead, they placed their foreheads gently against his, one by one. In the Pink Cloud Village, that was how they thanked a soul for protecting more than just a place, for protecting the feeling of belonging. Tiny Long didn't cry, but his purr echoed across the clouds like a drumbeat of peace. That night, the moth librarian gave him a new scroll. "Write your name," she said, "so the village remembers." He took the star ink and carefully wrote, "Tiny Long, the purring sky heart." And below it, "Half dragon, half cat, oh brave." Part 5. When you find your sky. Days passed, then weeks, and Tiny Long became a part of the Pink Cloud Village, not as a visitor, but as someone stitched into its sky thread. He helped the sky turtle paint dreams on the moonberries. He taught the little cloudlings how to glide without tumbling. On quiet mornings, he shared tea with the moth librarian, purring softly while she hummed the old songs. And once a week, under the glowing starlit arch, he taught a gentle flying class, one made just for those with wobbly wings and nervous hearts. "Up," he'd say, but softly. "Forward," he'd whisper, but on your own time. And when they hesitated, he'd land beside them and remind them, "You're not late. You're just different." That's magic, remember? They always smiled and flapped again. One afternoon, while chasing wind chimes through the coral cloud fields, he found Faye waiting by the breeze bend. She hadn't changed. Still cloud-winged, still calm-eyed. Tiny Long ran up and wrapped his paws around her. "You came back," Faye smiled. "I wanted to see what you've become." He tilted his head. "Something different, I think." He chuckled. "No, you've always been this. Now you just know." They sat side by side, watching the clouds roll in soft spirals. Faye finally said, "Others will come." Tiny Long's ears perked. "Like me. Not just like you," she said, "but different in their own ways." Sure. Looking for their sky. He was quiet for a moment. "I remember that feeling." Faye looked at him gently. "Would you help them?" He nodded slowly. "Yes. I think that's why I came here." That night, the village gathered in the sky hall, a vast, open cloud shaped like a ring, with the stars directly above. It was where stories were shared, and wishes were spoken aloud to the sky. The antlered dragon stepped forward. "Tonight," he said, "we honor Tiny Long." "Who came from below," said the flower lion. "Who kept his song in the storm," added the glittering snake. "Who found his sky and helps others rise," finished the goat-winged one. Hush fell. Then the moth librarian lifted her lantern and lit it with a flame shaped like a purr. She placed it in the wind, floated up, then another, and another. Hundreds of lanterns rose. Soft, glowing in every shape and color, they filled the sky with warmth, forming a new constellation, a dragon with cat ears and a shining bell. Tiny Long stood in the center, blinking back happy tears. He didn't speak. He just purred. In the days that followed, he made a new map, one that didn't show where the village was but how to find it. Said things like, "When the wind whispers, listen. When you don't fit, fly higher. When someone calls you soft, smile and stay soft. And most important, follow the feeling that makes you glow." Eventually, a whisper came on the wind again. "Little one. Less afraid. With bat wings and beetle legs." Sure. Unseen. Tiny Long took his scarf, tucked a lantern into his satchel, and stepped to the edge of the sky. He turned once, smiling at the pink clouds behind him, then leapt forward into the blue. Because once you've found your sky, you help others find theirs too. And so, under the blushing clouds and lantern-lit skies, Tiny Long purred softly in his sleep, dreaming of wind songs and glowing feathers. Somewhere out there, others were still searching, but now he was ready to guide them home. The pink cloud village shimmered quietly, floating high above worry and doubt. Close your eyes now, little one. Let your dreams take wing, just like Tiny Long's. You are different, and that is your magic. Good night. May your sky always be soft, and your heart always brave.